In the bustling streets of Tokyo in 1922, a determined 15-year-old boy embarked on his very first job at a modest auto repair shop. Little did anyone know, this boy would eventually rise to challenge the biggest names in the automotive industry and forge an empire that would revolutionize transportation. This is the incredible story of how a poor boy from a small village went from humble beginnings to creating the multi-billion-dollar empire known as Honda Motors. It all started in 1906, in a humble village called Tenryu, nestled at the base of Mount Fuji in Shizuoka, Japan. This is where Gihei Honda and his wife welcomed their first child, Soichiro Honda. Gihei worked as a blacksmith and also repaired bicycles, while Soichiro's mother was a skilled weaver. Life in the village was tough, and the family struggled to make ends meet. Sadly, Soichiro lost 5 of his siblings due to illness, a tragedy that left a deep mark on him. Soichiro's life took a pivotal turn when he was just 8 years old. One day, he saw an automobile for the very first time, a Ford Model T. The sight of this peculiar, noisy machine was unlike anything he had ever seen. He later recalled, "It was the first car I saw. What a thrill. I could not understand how it could move under its own power, and when it had driven past me, without even thinking why, I found myself chasing it down the road as hard as I could run." From that moment on, Soichiro's fascination with machinery only grew. He spent his childhood tinkering with farm tools and helping his father fix bicycles, eager to understand how things worked. However, this obsession came with a cost. His schoolwork suffered greatly. Instead of attending classes, he often chose to work in his father's bicycle shop, much to the detriment of his education. Soichiro's poor performance in school led him to some drastic measures. Desperate to hide his bad grades, he forged his family's seal on his report cards using rubber. But his deceit was soon uncovered, and his father punished him by making him kneel for an entire day without food. At the age of 15, Soichiro saw an ad in a magazine for Art Shokai, a car repair shop in Tokyo. Convinced that he could learn more there, he wrote to them asking for a job. To his surprise, they responded positively. Without hesitation, Soichiro dropped out of school and left for Tokyo. This was the start of an incredible journey that would eventually lead him to establish one of the most iconic car companies in the world. When Soichiro first set foot in Tokyo, the bustling city was a far cry from the quiet village life he was used to. Eager to start his career, he arrived at Art Shokai, a small auto repair shop run by Yuzo Sakakibara. But things didn't go as planned. Instead of diving into the world of mechanics, Soichiro found himself babysitting the owner's child. For months, his main task was to carry the baby on his back, without earning a cent. Frustrated and disappointed, he almost considered going back home, but the fear of returning as a failure kept him from quitting. After some time, Yuzo realized he was struggling to keep up with the increasing workload. He finally decided to give Soichiro a chance to prove himself. Starting with small, simple tasks, Soichiro slowly made his way up and soon became a reliable mechanic in the shop. His determination and skill didn't go unnoticed, and Yuzo began mentoring him, teaching him not just about car repairs, but also about running a business. At that time, Art Shokai serviced both bicycles and cars. However, owning a car was a luxury only the wealthy could afford, and most of the vehicles were imported from abroad. Despite this, Soichiro eagerly soaked up every bit of knowledge he could, learning to repair various types of cars, from Lincolns to Mercedes and Daimlers, as well as motorcycles that rolled into the workshop. His passion for learning and perfecting his craft was evident in every job he took on. It was through this exposure that Soichiro got his first taste of motorsports. Racing was gaining popularity worldwide, including in Japan, and in 1923, Yuzo decided to join the excitement by building racing cars. With Soichiro and other workers by his side, they constructed their first model, the Art Daimler, using a second-hand Daimler engine. Their second attempt was the Curtiss, a car built with a repurposed engine from an American Curtiss biplane mounted on a Mitchell chassis. In 1924, the Curtiss competed in the 5th Japanese Motorcar Championship. Yuzo's brother drove the car, while a 17-year-old Soichiro served as the engineer. Against all odds, the car took first place, and this thrilling victory marked the beginning of Soichiro's lifelong passion for motorsports. By 1926, Soichiro was supposed to join the military, but a medical exam revealed he was colorblind, sparing him from service. This twist of fate allowed him to continue honing his skills at Art Shokai. 2 years later, Yuzo decided to expand and set up a new branch in Hamamatsu. To everyone's surprise, he handed over the reins of the new shop to the then 21-year-old Soichiro. At first, the new branch struggled. Customers were reluctant to trust their cars to someone so young and inexperienced. But Soichiro's hard work and expertise soon paid off, and he started to gain a reputation for quality repairs. Over the next few years, his small shop grew into a bustling business, employing a team of 30 people. His wife joined him in running the business, and together they built a thriving operation. Beyond being a talented mechanic, Soichiro was also an avid racer. He designed and built a car called the Hamamatsu in his own shop, setting a speed record of 120 kilometers per hour, which stood unbroken for 20 years in Japan. However, the dangers of racing soon caught up with him. In 1936, Soichiro had a severe crash while racing the Hamamatsu in the suburbs of Tokyo. He broke his left arm, dislocated his shoulder, and suffered facial injuries. Although he returned to the track just 4 months later, pressure from his family convinced him to give up racing for good. By the mid-1930s, Soichiro was growing tired of the repair business and wanted to venture into manufacturing car parts. He suggested transforming the Art Shokai branch in Hamamatsu into a separate company focused on this new direction. But the shareholders didn't agree. They preferred to stick to the profitable repair work. Determined to follow his passion, Soichiro took a bold step. He left Art Shokai and founded his own company to manufacture piston rings, calling it Tokai Seiki Heavy Industry. He appointed his close friend Shichiro Kato as president, marking the beginning of a new chapter in his life and the early roots of what would eventually become Honda Motor. Soichiro Honda and his friend Shichiro Kato poured their energy into launching their new venture, founding the Art Piston Ring Research Center. Soichiro continued to manage the Hamamatsu branch during the day and devoted his nights to the intricate process of developing piston rings. Despite their relentless efforts, they faced one setback after another. Soichiro's dedication was so intense that it took a toll on his health. He became gaunt and exhausted, his appearance a reflection of the strain he was under. After numerous failed attempts, he realized that his understanding of metallurgy needed improvement. To address this, he enrolled as a part-time student at the Hamamatsu Industrial Institute. It wasn't until 1939 that Soichiro finally managed to create a functional piston ring. With newfound confidence, he left his position at Art Shokai, passing the branch on to his trainees, and fully committed himself to his new company. Despite this breakthrough, the initial production didn't go as smoothly as planned. The pistons still lacked the quality necessary for commercial use. When Toyota reached out to Soichiro, he eagerly sent them 50 samples, but only 3 met their strict standards. It was a devastating blow, but Soichiro wasn't one to give up. Determined to perfect his product, he spent the next few years traveling across Japan, visiting steel companies and universities to deepen his knowledge of manufacturing techniques. Armed with new insights, Soichiro gave it another shot. This time, his pistons were flawless. Orders started coming in from all over Japan, and soon, his company had grown to employ around 2,000 workers, just to keep up with demand. However, just as things were looking up, World War II threw a wrench into his plans. In 1941, Japan initiated the Pacific War, and Soichiro's company was placed under the control of the Ministry of Munitions. By 1942, Toyota acquired 45% of the company, and Soichiro was demoted to senior managing director. As the war dragged on, many of his male employees were drafted into the military, leaving the company short-staffed and struggling. The situation only worsened. In 1944, an air raid bombed the factory, causing extensive damage. As if that weren't enough, a massive earthquake hit the region in January 1945, toppling the Iwata plant. By the end of the war, Soichiro's company was in ruins. With Japan's surrender in August 1945, he made the tough decision to sell what remained of his business to Toyota for 450,000 yen. Publicly, he stated he was taking a break to reevaluate his future, while Japan lay in a state of devastation. In the aftermath of the war, Japan was in dire straits. The economy was in shambles, and basic necessities like food, clothing, and shelter were scarce. Soichiro, like everyone else, struggled to get by. Gasoline was almost impossible to find, making it hard for people to get around, even for basic tasks like going to the market. One day, Soichiro stumbled upon a generator engine from the Japanese Imperial Army. It had been used during the war to power a radio. Intrigued by its mechanics, he had an epiphany. What if he attached this engine to a bicycle? While this idea wasn't entirely new, motorized bicycles were already popular in Europe, and a few had made their way to Japan. Soichiro knew that the country desperately needed affordable and efficient transportation. In 1946, he set up the Honda Technical Research Institute in his old warehouse. With a team of just 12 men, he began working on his idea. They scavenged for old engines and spare parts, assembling the first prototypes of motorized bicycles. These new bikes were an instant success, catching the attention of people across Japan. Orders started flooding in, but Soichiro soon ran out of second-hand engines. Undeterred, he decided to create his own engine. In 1947, he completed the Type A engine, and for the first time, the Honda name was proudly displayed on a product. This marked the birth of the Honda Motor Company, setting the stage for a revolutionary transformation in the automotive world. In 1948, with a vision to help the Japanese people find affordable transportation, Soichiro Honda founded the Honda Motor Company. His goal was to produce motorcycles that would allow workers to commute efficiently, as the country faced a severe shortage of transportation options. However, to turn this vision into reality, Soichiro needed capital. He crafted an open letter addressed to all 18,000 bicycle shop owners across Japan, detailing his plan to get the nation moving again. Out of those, 3,000 shop owners believed in his vision and invested, giving Honda the funds necessary to start production. In 1949, the company introduced its first complete motorcycle, the Model D, also known as the Dream D-Type. While this was a significant milestone, the motorcycle turned out to be too bulky and heavy, leading to disappointing sales. Soichiro, never one to be easily deterred, went back to the drawing board. He stripped the bike down and focused on developing a smaller, lighter model. It took 3 more years of relentless experimentation and fine-tuning, but his perseverance paid off with the creation of the Super Cub in 1958. The Super Cub was revolutionary. It was lightweight, easy to ride, and affordable. It instantly became a sensation, winning the prestigious Emperor's Prize. This success attracted the attention of Takeo Fujisawa, a savvy investor who saw immense potential in Soichiro's venture. Fujisawa brought more than just capital to the table. His expertise in finance and marketing laid the groundwork for Honda's rapid expansion. With Fujisawa's backing and Honda's engineering ingenuity, the company set its sights beyond Japan. The Super Cub was introduced to the United States in 1959, priced at just $295, about a quarter of the cost of American motorcycles at the time. This competitive pricing, combined with Honda's clever marketing slogan, "You meet the nicest people on a Honda," helped the Super Cub outsell both Triumph and Harley-Davidson in their home markets. Meanwhile, Soichiro's passion for racing remained undiminished. He knew that winning on the track would prove the quality of his machines. He traveled the world, attending races and studying the competition. Honda's debut in the international racing scene was less than stellar, with a disappointing performance at the 1954 Isle of Man TT. But Soichiro was determined to learn from his competitors and surpass them. Just 5 years later, Honda claimed the manufacturer's team prize at the 1959 Isle of Man TT. 2 years after that, they secured another victory at the same event, cementing Honda's reputation as a force to be reckoned with in the global motorcycle industry. By the 1960s, Honda had become the largest motorcycle manufacturer in the world, producing 10 million motorcycles by 1968, a staggering achievement considering the company's humble beginnings. However, Soichiro wasn't content with just dominating the motorcycle market. He had another dream, a dream he had nurtured since he was a child: to build cars. When Soichiro Honda announced his intention to enter the automobile industry, many were skeptical. Japan already had established automakers like Nissan and Toyota, and the country's economic advisors tried to dissuade him, arguing that there was no need for another car manufacturer. But Soichiro was never one to follow conventional wisdom. In 1963, Honda introduced its first automobile, the T360 mini truck. Though small and reliable, the T360 struggled to find its footing in the market. It was followed by the S500, Honda's first sports car, a two-door roadster with a 4-speed transmission capable of reaching 80 miles per hour. While the S500 showcased Honda's engineering prowess, only about 1,300 units were produced, making it a rare collector's item today. Undeterred, Soichiro set his sights on racing, believing that success on the track would translate into consumer confidence. Honda entered Formula One in 1964 with the RA271, and just a year later, the company celebrated its first victory at the 1965 Mexican Grand Prix with the RA272. Despite this triumph, Honda's automobiles still lagged behind in the consumer market. Realizing the need to refocus, Honda temporarily withdrew from racing to concentrate on building a car that would redefine the industry. That car was the Honda Civic. Launched in 1972, the Civic quickly became a global sensation. Its compact size, fuel efficiency, and innovative design made it incredibly popular, especially during the 1970s oil crisis, when fuel efficiency was paramount. Honda's engineers also developed the compound vortex controlled combustion (CVCC) system, which made the Civic even more fuel efficient while reducing harmful emissions. This innovation gave Honda a significant edge as other manufacturers scrambled to meet new environmental regulations. The addition of a catalytic converter, another pioneering feature at the time, showcased Honda's commitment to addressing pollution concerns. The Civic's success in the American market laid the groundwork for the release of the Honda Accord in 1976. Originally a compact hatchback, the Accord quickly evolved into a mid-size sedan, offering more space and comfort while maintaining excellent fuel economy. It was an instant hit, becoming one of the best-selling cars in history and propelling Honda to new heights. By the early 1980s, Honda had not only become Japan's third-largest car manufacturer, but was also the third-largest car company in the world. Soichiro Honda, the man who had defied all odds, retired in 1973, leaving behind a legacy of innovation and perseverance. He passed away on August 5, 1991, at the age of 84. Reflecting on his life, Soichiro once said, "Looking back on my work, I feel that I was doing nothing more than making mistakes, blunders, and serious omissions, but I am proud of the achievements. Although I made one mistake after another, my mistakes and failures never occurred for the same reasons." Today, Honda has expanded far beyond automobiles and motorcycles, venturing into fields like robotics, aviation, and power equipment. Soichiro's relentless pursuit of his dreams and his willingness to embrace failure as a stepping stone to success laid the foundation for a company that continues to push boundaries and shape the future. If this story inspired you, don't forget to hit a like and subscribe to the channel. Help me reach my goal of 1,000 subscribers. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.